Okay. Hello. Good evening, everybody. Just to be certain that you can see me, hear me. Today is a Q&A session based on yesterday's masterclass. So I have some of you have emailed in your questions, and those of you who have not yet emailed your questions, you can still now that we're live, you might as well just ask the question directly through the chat button, and I will try as much as possible to answer as many of the questions as I can. Now, first I want to do today is to just do a brief recapture of what we went through yesterday. For those of you who are not aware, I have posted on my website, charlesomole.org. If you go to the very front page of the website, the slide notes for the teaching yesterday, for the class yesterday, is there for you to download free of charge. So, go there, charlesomole.org, and that will, take care of the notes for you. For future ones, we'll try and be providing notes for every class as much as possible, except maybe we're doing a micro class, which is very short, then notes might not be provided for that. We looked at the 10 pillars of building a successful personal influence, brand, and business online, if you remember. And I'm not going to reteach it again today. I'm just going over the points. And the first point we looked at is that it has to be intentional. It cannot be something you are bounced into. You must deliberately want to do it. Number two, we said you have to be authentic. And I guess what I was trying to say about being authentic yesterday in the class was that it doesn't matter how peculiar your situation is. There are thousands of people who are in the same equally peculiar situation. But Dr. Mali, I have only one leg. Well, there are thousands of people who have one leg that need people like you to, show them what needs to be done. Dr. Mali, I have one eye. Well, there are thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people that have one eye that will subscribe to your message. So I'm just using those extremes to say it doesn't matter your disadvantage. There are people who are waiting for the message you carry, for what you have to gain from you. Number three, we say is passion. You have to be passionate. Yeah, I mean that is clear. Number four, we say is patience. Rome was not built in a day, so you got to give yourself some time. Number five, we said speed. And speed, I mean that I don't mean reckless speed. I'm just saying that if you sit on an idea for too long, others will probably capitalize on the idea before you. And secondly, I also feel that the market situation might be different. By the time you want. I mean, for example, speed can be seasonal. I mean, if you want, what's it called, depending on which part of the world you live in, where you have maybe cold and hot seasons. If you want to sell something like ice cream variant, for example, something will tell you that you better to quickly do that during the summer months, where you can get more business rather than wait till it's winter and then everything is already everywhere, it's already cold, and therefore the interest in your product might not be the same. So speed matters. Number six, we said work. Yes. For anyone who has ever been self-employed, you know that working for yourself is a lot of work. So it involves hard work. Number seven, we said we have attention. You have to pay attention to detail. And one thing I didn't say yesterday about attention, which I think I need to say now, is this. You see, everybody sees the big problem. Those that excel in being able to identify the small things, small problems. It's the little foxes, as it were, that spoils the vine. So everybody can see the big problem. It's your ability to see the nuances, to see the little things that others miss. That is what makes you excel. And by the way, that is the kind of quality people will be prepared to pay more for, than if you see what everybody else sees. So attention to detail matters. For some of you who are following me on Twitter, you will see that in the last couple of weeks, I posted some tests, there about your attention to detail, just testing your attention to detail. So it's important that it's just to help you to understand that what you see at first sight might not be exactly what you think it is. Number 8, content. You got to be content rich. Number 9, you got to be on all social media platforms, even though you might have one main one you focus on, but you got to create presence in as many of those platforms as possible. Number 10, tenacity. That's the last thing we said, tenacity. You have to be tenacious. You mustn't give up, so to speak. You mustn't give up. Now, to the questions we have, some of the questions are very interesting. And I will try and answer as many of them as I can during this brief period we have. By the way, once I finish answering the questions I've been emailed in, the session will end unless I see additional questions within the chat, live chat button. If I see additional questions, I will extend the session to answer your question. But if you're just watching and you have no question, then I will just answer the ones here. And once that is done, then we will end the session. So how long we spend will be practically dependent on you, although maximum is an hour. But the questions here will not take me an hour to answer. So today might be a brief session or longer. Depends on you. Okay, some of the questions are interesting. First question somebody asked me was a bit of a personal one. I mean, he said that, he said, yeah, Dr. Charles, this is the first time I'm seeing your picture with beard. So, I mean, is this your new style? Well, your question was supposed to be on the masterclass, not on my physique, but it's an important question. I mean, I was locked down here in the UK, so I couldn't leave to head back to Nigeria. So I decided to stay. I mean, well, if you have to be honest, I mean, where would you rather be locked down? In London or Lagos or Abuja, Anyway, so I decided to stay. And once I decided to, and of course, once I decided to stay, I wasn't going anywhere. So I thought, you know what, let's leave the beard, let's see how it goes. And it seems, my daughter seems to like it. They said, "Oh, Dad, we've never seen you in beard. Let's see what it looks like." So I grew it, then I shaved it off. Then I grew it again, I shaved it off. So who knows? It might remain after the lockdown. It might go. It depends on how I feel, But I'm getting used to it. By the way, one other thing I wanted to say before I proceed is that I needed to apologize about yesterday. Yesterday was our first masterclass, and we had all kinds of technical issues. There were teams here in London, there were teams in Nigeria. We were both working on the technicalities somewhat, and something was missing for the first, and then we had all kinds of problems with that. So my apologies for that. And also we had problem with Instagram. Instagram was giving us all kinds of technical issues. So anyway, what we decided going forward is that this week we've done that on all the platforms. Next week we'll also try and do it on all the platforms as I advertise. But after next week, I think we're going to just stick to YouTube alone. So that makes it a bit simpler for us from the technical perspective. And then we can connect YouTube to those other platforms if need be. So YouTube will be our main platform for teaching these classes from after next week. So if you have not subscribed, please do so, because once we schedule the class, an automatic notification goes out to you, so you will know there's a class coming. So it helps you very well. And more importantly, also, once the class finishes, the video remains on YouTube. You can come back there as many times as possible. The second question here is, I said, Dr. Charles, I saw that your TV channel is called TCOV's TV. What does TCOV stand for? Well, I mean, again, that's a very good observation. It means that person is paying attention to detail. TCOV simply stands for, the Charles Omole viewpoint. This channel is about my views about so many things, my interviews, my media appearances, as much as I can show them. So it's the Charles Omole viewpoint. TV. That's the TCOV. That's what it stands for. My team calls it TICOV, but whatever, you can call it whichever way you want, but it's the Charles Omole viewpoint. That's why it's called TCOV. Who knows? We might rebrand it in future, but but that's how we call it at the moment. That's question number 2. Question number 3 is from Aishak. I think that's your name. You said here, thanks a lot for a rich session yesterday. The authenticity and speed part really spoke to me. The question here is, do you consider mentorship necessary for online business? Would you add it to your list of 10? Well, I will consider mentorship as necessary for all manner of business, whether online or offline. So that's why I didn't particularly add it to the list, because it's not peculiar to online business. Any business you are in, online or offline, you need mentors. So for online business, yes, I will add mentorship. You need to understand that nobody knows it all. Mentorship is knowledge without the pain of discovery. Mentorship is knowledge without the pain of discovery. So which means you can gain in 5 minutes what it took me 5 years to learn. You can gain in 1 hour what it took somebody 20 years to learn. That is mentorship. And you need to understand that the dynamics of relationship between you and your mentor matters a lot, because a lot of people, for example, I go to places, people come and see me and say, "Oh, Dr. Charles, I want you to mentor me. I need you to mentor." And a lot of them, they don't know what they're asking for. You need to understand that mentorship, especially if it's been one-on-one mentoring, because you can, read somebody's materials, their books, watch their podcasts, and be mentored by them in a way. But if you're talking of a one-on-one personal mentoring, that means you want access. You want access. That's what it means. But you need to understand that access is first of all a gift. Then it becomes a test before it can become a reward. I'll say that again. Access is first of all a gift before it becomes a test. And finally, that's when it can become a reward. So when you want access to somebody, they have to give you that access. They must open their doors, their arms to say, okay, come close. That's a gift. That is a bit lots of people enjoy. But once you get that access, then that access has to be a test. There has to be a test of that relationship, test of your loyalty, test of your ability to pay the price. And I have to be open with you guys as much as I can. Given the volume of people who request mentoring from me, I do test them. And part of the way I test, I'm probably giving away some of my secrets now, but that's fine, is I may deliberately ignore your messages. If I meet you at a meeting and say, "Oh, mentor," and then you send a message to my team, and they let me know, because every other day, every message sent to me, even if my team have responded, they always make sure I see the details of the message, because you never know. A message that appears completely innocuous could be important. So I do go through every email that comes to me, even though I might not respond personally to all of them. So they send me, so you show me the message, and sometimes I tell them don't respond. There are people that it's only on after the 10th, 15th message that I then respond. The reason is very simple. A lot of people after 1 or 2 messages, what do? They stop contacting you. And when that happens, I say, yeah, because that person is not willing to pay the price. So access is first of all a gift. Then it becomes a test before it become a reward. It's only when you pass the test of access that you can get the reward of access. But a lot of people fail that test, because access means when you get close to your mentor, you might discover something that is public persona did not tell you. You might discuss something about his humanity that you didn't know existed. Will you go? Will you run away? Or will you betray him? Or will you? I mean, the point I'm making here is, once you get close to somebody, you will discover more about them than when you were looking at them from outside. That's part of the test of the access. And part of the test of the access is also whether you're a giver. By a giver, I don't mean financial. Some people want you to mentor them purely because of what they can get from you. So I watch out for people who give. In fact, for people that I mentor personally, some of you who are watching, who are my one-on-one mentors in Nigeria, for example, know this. There's a rule. I teach them you must never come. If I'm in town and I say come and see me, you must never come and see me empty-handed. What do I mean empty-handed? I'm not looking for your money. It could be. I remember one of my mentee was coming to see me during one of my trips. I said I'm in town. She forgot completely. She was near the hotel where I was. So she quickly went to the supermarket and bought 2 cartons of Five Alive and brought it, to our meeting. Now, you could see from that perspective that it's not Five Alive that is my problem, but it's the principle I was teaching her. And she understood that you must never go in presence of your mentor empty-handed. So whatever you give is irrelevant. Whether it's a can of Coke is completely irrelevant. It's a principle. It's a principle to show you appreciate them. And more importantly, it's also a principle that shows them and shows you that I don't do this to anybody else. I don't do this for anybody else. So you are my mentor. Therefore, I'm going the extra mile. So you're ascribing value to that relationship. So it's very, very, it's very, very important. And this is a principle I obey too. Those who who are my mentors, I don't have many of them, but those are my mentors. They understand. There's no way I see them empty-handed. In fact, I have a principle. One of my mentors, I remember, I went to Nigeria and he was around, and I went to see him. Every time I see him, I must give him an envelope. It doesn't matter how much is there. It's a personal principle. And so there's one time he was having a 5-day meeting, which means I will see him every day, Monday to Friday. As I'm going every day, it's a new envelope. It was just, but you gave me one yesterday. I said, sir, I'm just seeing you again. Today's a new day. Here is a gift. Now I've done that for that particular mentor for years now, more than 10 years. But the point I'm making is a principle. So I'm just giving an example of the kind of test of relationship, of a test of access that many people don't pass. And as a result, when they don't pass that test, they lose the access. So I can go on and on. I would probably do a masterclass on mentoring another day, telling you how to be a good protege or mentee and how to locate good mentors. So it's important. So yes, my answer to you, Isaac, is that yes, I consider mentoring absolutely necessary in business, online or offline. I mean, the beauty of mentoring is one phone call from your mentor can save you 6 months of work. That's the beauty of mentor. There are things people will do for me because I sent you. So it's very, very important, that you understand that mentoring is key. So I can see that. Okay. Somebody just saying here that I see that he said, please look into the YouTube notification because I have subscribed and didn't get a notification for this class. I think I take responsibility for that. And part of the challenge we are having actually now is because of the lockdown. Because we can't move around in the UK where I am. So all the technical things that are not really my, I've had to become technical. The chaps in Nigeria are doing their bit. They will call me, and they will, tell me what to do. So apparently what I should have done is I should have gone to YouTube and schedule this session beforehand. And if at the moment I schedule that will send the notification out. But I actually did the scheduling of practically 2 minutes to come in live. So I take responsibility for that. So we will get better with this technical stuff, as we go on. And once the lockdown is lifted, I have a team that will do all this. They're experts in their field. But for now, I'm doing this hands-on. So forgive the imperfection. for now. So, yeah, so you will be getting hopefully future notifications. And if you follow me on Twitter, I will always announce on Twitter details of these things. So okay, so the next question is from Ezekiel. The question reads, well, it's a long question, really. Because of time, I don't want to read the whole thing. I guess the basics of the question here is that, let me go to the key paragraph. So during this COVID-19 lockdown, an idea that had to do with fintech crept to mind. Hold on a second. Something about web-enabled functionalities and stuff. He said, I'm afraid of sharing such ideas. I think the bottom line here is he has a brilliant idea, but he needs to talk to people about it. But at the same time, he's concerned they might steal the idea. So I think he says, I need your guidance on how do I go about mentioning this or sharing this idea with people without the people stealing my idea? Well, that's it. By the way, that's the last question that I have so far. So there's no question yet from the chat. So once I answer this question, we might end this session unless you viewers have questions for me. Now, well, it's a problem generally globally, sharing your ideas with people, because potentially anyone could steal your idea. But it's a particularly big problem in Nigeria from my experience. Nigeria, I mean, because the person asking the question is from Nigeria, so that's why I'm using Nigeria specifically, because that's the environment he operates from. Nigeria is particularly a society where a lot of the system doesn't respect intellectual property. People copy your books, they copy your things anyhow. You know, I've written over 40 books. I think I'm working on 2 new books now. Hopefully they'll come out later this year. And one of the challenges I have that people ask is, hey, doctor, where can we get your book in Nigeria? Where can we get a book in Nigeria? But the challenge is that, you know, the publishers are reluctant to publish a book in Nigeria, because their concern is once it's published in Nigeria, within, and people feel a particular title is popular, within a short period of time, you see all kinds of knockoff copies being sold, in traffic, and those ones, they don't respect copyright. So as a result, my publishers are kind of reluctant to publish, because I told them that for the books to be affordable to Nigerians, it has to be printed in Nigeria. Shipping books from the US or from the UK to Nigeria doesn't make financial sense, and we will not be able to sell it at a good price that's affordable. Whereas if you print it locally, that will be easier. But printing it locally, in fact, it could even be the printers that you use that will keep the the original, and then before you know it, they sell it to somebody somewhere, and before you know it, your books are everywhere. Somebody is making money out of it. So I understand this man's concern about how do I share this brilliant idea without somebody going to copy it. Well, there's no easy answer here. And by the way, this is one of the things the previous question could have helped you with. If you have a mentor becomes somebody you bounce idea off, and that can, help to, keep your secret, and at the same time giving you good guidance, guidance. So that's why you must always have a mentor, regardless of what you're doing, because the trust relationship will have been established before the need arises, So anyway, so what I would say is look for people you trust. Look for people you trust. If that person who asked the question was, say, in the West, say in the UK, Europe, I could say maybe you put together a non-disclosure agreement and then you share, because those are societies that respect contracts. But in Nigeria and in India, non-disclosure agreement is not what the paper is written on. People will still do what they want to do. So we have to be practical and realistic about this. So my advice is look for people you trust first before you share the idea. If you're that sensitive to the fact that they might, plagiarize your idea or copy your idea, and it is true, I've seen many cases in Nigeria of people who didn't have the means when to talk to a big man who has the money about the idea. The big man said, I don't think I like the idea, and then within a few months, the big man started implementing the idea without reference to them. That happens a lot. in Nigeria. I've seen several instances of that. So it's important, therefore, that you protect your idea. The other thing I will say is this, because you didn't go into details of where exactly it is that your idea is, you have to also ask yourself, is my idea patentable? You know, is it an idea that because you don't have to execute an idea. If you have an idea, or if it's a design, you can produce the design and secure the copyright to that design without even producing one simple product. The idea itself can be copyrighted. And once you've done that, sharing it with other people becomes easier. Because if they, reproduce your idea, you can sue them more readily. But generally, even if we can sue them in Nigeria, how many years does it take to finish these cases? So really, the important thing is find somebody you can trust first. Somebody else says here, thank you for your elaborate response to my first question. The person who asked the question is here. Can you please give some practical tips on overcoming the usual inertia associated with putting an idea into action? Well, I mean, one thing is quite clear. The number one, from my experience, by the way, on the question of the other question, my answer to that is simple. Find somebody you can trust, or find a mentor and share that with them. Don't share it widely, and then hope for the best. Because the more people you share your idea with, the more likely they will copy it. Okay. But the question here says also, so to your question, can practical inertia, overcoming the usual inertia associated with putting an idea into action? Well, two things I will say about that, because the specifics matter. I mean, I guess one of the dangers of being a lawyer is that I don't like giving one general response to fit every situation. Every situation is unique, so the answer might be different. But on a couple of things you need to understand. The first thing about inertia, overcoming, that to take the first step is because it's fear of failure. That's the first step, fear of failure. But you need to understand that those who don't make mistakes don't make anything. Every decision in life is a potential mistake. So if you're afraid of a mistake, then you will never make any decision in life. So you've got to take risk. So you've got to go for it. You take calculated risk. And the specifics will be different, in terms of what kind of risk you take. The certain principles, start small, for example, is very important. Don't start big. I tell people, there's no point. You're starting a new business. You don't have a single customer yet. You have an office. You have an official car. You have a business card. You have all the stationery. You have a security guard. You employ. Meanwhile, there's no single customer. That's a foolish way to start a business. Start small and let all those things grow as the business grow. So the first thing, therefore, is fear of failure. And you can overcome that by understanding that failure is, every decision is a potential failure. So you have to just go for it. The second thing is, don't make the best to be the enemy of the good. Don't make the best to be the enemy of the good. Some people want everything perfect before they make a decision in business. You can never move in business if you are waiting for the perfect condition, for everything to line up. No. You've got to make sure there's sufficient information, there's sufficient inertia for you to proceed. You can't say you want everything perfect. So the example, I'm not sure what I gave it yesterday or like giving, is if you can go online and do a research and look at the first version of Facebook. Look at the graphic user interface of that first version. You will laugh. You will think some primary school student put it together. It was terrible. Well, compared to the current version. But Mark understood that I'm going to throw it out there. In fact, throwing it out there without it being perfect could also mean you are crowdsourcing ideas. You are crowdsourcing suggestions. So he just threw it out there. The thing wasn't perfect, but then you see, every year he started bringing out a new version of Facebook, changing the graphic user interface. Eventually, we have the version today that many people like. So, but if he had waited to say I must get today's graphic user interface version before I start Facebook, it will be the loser. So what I'm trying to say is, you got to start with what you've got and perfect it as you go along. It's very important. So if you can understand, overcome the fear of failure, and understand that you don't have to have everything perfect to go on. Then we will. Then you can get the third thing, which I will not have time to really go into a lot today. Maybe next, because our time is, okay, we still got about 26 minutes, but I don't have time to go into it in kind of detail, is never be afraid of lack of money when you're starting business, when you want to start business. I might do a masterclass, maybe a video, I don't know, maybe in the next 2-3 weeks on this topic, actually, because somebody has asked me that again yesterday. Because I was telling somebody, I said there are 7 capital you need in business. You see, when people talk, whenever I talk about, talk to people who are about to start a business or starting a business, or should have started a business rather, the number one thing many of them tell me is, hey, doctor, I don't have the capital. I will have started, but I don't have the capital. And when they say that, they are talking about money. I then sit them down and I share with them that there are 7 capital or capitals you need to succeed in business. Financial capital is just one of those 7. Even if you have the financial capital but you lack the other 6, your business will fail. I then began to explain what the other 6 capital is, but that's not for today. We'll do a different masterclass on that. And by the time I showed them, many of them actually realized that they have those other capital. It's only the money they don't have, but they didn't know how to exploit those other capital that is of a non-financial nature. Anyway, we'll come to that maybe sometime in the future. So that is key. Question here says, Dr. Sir, please, any certificate for this masterclass? Well, I thought about that. I thought about that. The challenge we had with that, my team, we brainstormed about that. The challenge we have is, how do we mark attendance? Because you can't just issue certificate for somebody who attended, 5 out of 15 classes, for example. How do we keep attendance? For those who do this and issue certificate, the master classes are done in such a way that people log in. So at the end of each session, you're able to see who has logged in, and therefore you're able to mark attendance electronically, automatically. So and if you have a cutoff, maybe 80% attendance or whatever, something like that. But I'm not dismissing the idea entirely. I'm not dismissing the idea entirely. I would look into that, in the next week or 2 to see whether we issue certificate at the end. But let's see how it goes. Another question here says, does let me see. Okay, no, sorry, that's not a question. That is a comment. Anyway, I think that's the last question, because there's no other question I can see here from for you guys. So anyway, to wrap it up, the key thing I want you to understand about this 10 steps is the fact that you've got to just be you. That's the that is a message. You've got to be you. Okay, one more question came in here. How do I determine that my true or real passion is? For example, I love agriculture and I love farming. Well, discovering your true passion, there are so many ways you can find that out. I guess, some of the questions, you can ask yourself is, what consumes your thought the most? What do you think about the most? That could be an indication of what your passion is. Number 2, in terms of question, you can ask yourself to determine your passion. What is it if I wake you up, if I come to your house and wake you up at 2 a.m. in the morning? 2 a.m. in the morning. What is it that if I ask you to do, you will do gladly without any preparation? That could be an indication, to your passion. Number 3, what consumes your compassion the most? What is it that, other people are walking past that same object or people and don't blink an eye, but every time you pass, something in you, tells you something. Well, that could be an indication of what your passion is. If money is not an object, if I tell you right now, I will give you all the money you need for the rest of your life to live comfortably, what will you do with your life? If you can answer that question, that's your passion. So there's so many ways to know your passion. And you also need to understand that your passion can be one passion for a lifetime. Your passion can be seasonal. You can be in a phase or season in your life and you have a particular passion. A time may come when you need to change. You will know because you will know things have moved. The new passion might be related, might be an offshoot of the other one, for example. It might just be a different emphasis. So, so you can know what your passion is. But again, that's what a mentor will do, because a mentor will ask the right kind of question, to ascertain that indeed you are doing the right thing. Any other question? I think that's it. I've seen your correction. You say you meant education, not agriculture, but that's fine. I mean, the answer is still the same in terms of finding out what your passion is. Anyway, folks, so those are the question and answer session for today based on yesterday's teaching. Our masterclass next week is going to be an interesting one. COVID-19 has changed the world forever. And what we're going to look at next week is what are the new hot, I call it 25 hot business trend that you can do to make wealth and make yourself good money post-COVID. COVID has caused all kinds of financial difficulties for many businesses and many sectors. But even within that also is a lot of opportunity. What are the opportunities that COVID has ushered in? Also, what are the 25 business areas you should look into? That are almost certain guarantee for you to make money post-COVID. That's what we'll be looking at next week. So, because you need to understand that if you're a student of history, the 1918-1919 pandemic, when it happened, even after it was, curtailed, it took a few years for the pandemic to actually completely dissipate. Because up to 1925, people were still recovering in some countries. But then what followed that pandemic was the Great Depression of 1929-1930. Financial collapse in America. Great financial depression followed. But one thing many people didn't know, because you have to be a student of history, is that during that Great Depression, more millionaires were created in America than any other time in American history. During that Great Depression, more millionaires were created in America than any other time in American history. So as things was bad for a lot of people also made money. A lot of people became millionaires. So within this COVID pandemic chaos, there are hidden opportunities. If you know what they are, you can make a killing, literally speaking, as a result. So we'll be looking at the 25 areas you're supposed to focus on post-COVID. And these 25 areas, it doesn't matter which country you are, from Nigeria to Kenya to Ghana to Europe to America to Australia, it will work everywhere. So that's what we'll be looking at next week. So make sure you watch out for that 6 p.m. Next week, Monday. We'll be having that 25 post-COVID hot trend, in hot business trend, for you to engage in to prosper, in this season that is upon us. Anyway, thank you very much for those of you who have joined me today. I appreciate your time, and do my best to make sure that each of our meetings together is detailed, has some meat for you to take home with, to go home with rather. Please feel free, even after this, if you have questions about anything generally, send it to info@charlesomale.org. Either myself or my team will always respond to every message that we receive. So thank you, and God bless. So we'll catch up next week. Thanks for watching.